Welcome, Eric Canfield. Thank you so much for joining us on Finding Strength Within today's podcast. Today, I am happy to tell you that we have Eric Canfield with us, who is actually my son. And one of the
True.
reasons that we are starting with this interview is because I know I always talk about that whenever there's no failure, it's only feedback. And Eric is actually an acting student. I'm going to let him tell a little bit of his story. So, Eric, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mom. Um, uh, yeah, I started acting when I was 4, and I've just sort of been acting ever since. I got on stage for the first time when I was 4, and I did it throughout like my entire life. And now I go to the University of North Carolina School of the Arts for acting. And I'm currently a third year there. And yeah, I'm an actor and a writer. Um, and yeah. So
That is fantastic. So, Eric, I have to ask because I know that I give this story about director feedback. And I would love when we are in the workplace, it would be so wonderful if we could continually give people feedback the way that directors give feedback to actors during a scene and kind of have that retake mode.
uh,
So tell us a little bit about your journey of being receptive to that feedback and how that has progressed for you as the years have gone on.
yeah, well, I think when I was really young, it was hard to process because I was really little. So I wasn't really given as much feedback, and B, um, I was a kid, so I didn't really understand the difference between like personal and professional uh criticism. So I think that really only it's been in college when you're receiving feedback all the time from a bunch of different professors do you really start to like create like a mechanism for yourself to understand or try to just like take yourself out of it, which is so hard because you're an actor, so you are the thing that they're critiquing, like you are selling you. So uh it just yeah, I think that throughout the year, you just have to develop thick skin. It's sort of something that you have to do. And just you sort of are forced to understand that it's not about you. It's about the final product. It's like you and the director, whoever it may be, are working together to create something that is bigger than both of you. So I think you just have to like understand that like it's not about you, especially being now I've like casted a few things and been on the other side of the table, and it's just so not personal. It's so not about the person. It's just about what they're looking for. So yeah, it's just that it's a collaboration. So
That's fantastic. And again, it's one of those things where I wish we could do that in every workplace to be able to help even employees and managers understand that. So tell us a little bit about the process that you use when you bring a character to the stage. What does that process look like for you, Eric?
um so we're taught a method at school our first year called practical aesthetics, which is partially created by our dean, Scott Ziegler. And it's a method of breaking down the a character scene by scene into what they want, and like an essentialized version of what they're going after in each scene to make it really short. There's like a bunch of steps, but anyways, it gets down to just what the character wants. um and so I think that the biggest thing, the something that Scott said a lot our first year, is that all like a person is or a character is a set of tactics. So um like like you a person is um that when you're going after something you want, and when you're acting, you're always trying to like activate the scene and figure out like what the person you're playing wants. And tactics, obviously, a tactic is like a way to get that, and a character is just a set of tactics. Like a character is just somebody that has a certain way that they go about getting what they want. um so the way that I think that is helpful to bring someone to the stage is to to you can transform but also bring yourself to it by doing the play to its full potential, meaning like that you're playing those tactics. Within the set of tactics that the character would use. But if you're like, I don't know, like a tactic is like begging, the character is begging in that moment because they are the character. But Eric, like me, only begs in like a particular way. But like Eric, if it were real life, maybe I wouldn't beg in that moment. But it's kind of like a meeting of like how you can transform into the character, become the character, I guess, but also bring you to it. Um, and it's just like, how would I do what the character does in the play? Um, so yeah.
That's very fascinating, Eric, because when you talk about that, you mentioned regarding what the character wants and
Uh-huh.
how they're going to get what they want out of that moment. And I know that a couple of things that we've talked about on previous episodes is the importance of recognizing that when we're in the workplace or even when we're in a relationship, of recognizing something from the other person's point of view, of how can we look at it from their eyes. And it sounds like when you're looking at that character, it's something similar, right? Of what does the character want, right?
Yeah, you're trying to understand how the person goes about getting what they want.
Right. That's very awesome. I really appreciate it. It's a great explanation and definitely new to me of what I know about acting. So, Eric, being that we talk about finding strength and how we become resilient, can you share with us a little bit about what one of your greatest obstacles have been?
Yeah, well, actually I had a lisp for a long time. Uh from well, actually I don't know why I'm saying it like you don't know, but I had a lisp for a long time from like I don't know like what like third grade or something, right?
Yep, that's correct.
From third grade to my junior year of high school. And we went to see a speech pathologist, and she told us that we're going to have to go see her in person 6 times. It was like a pretty severe lisp on sh words. It was a lateral lisp, which means that the air was exploding out the sides of my mouth instead of coming out the front. Um, and uh, I just did it. I figured out how to make my mouth form in the way that is correct, and I just like drilled it while we were at home with COVID. And then by the time I came out, I had gotten rid of the lisp. So, well, not that I think that I'd like that'd be nice if we could move to a place in society where it wouldn't really matter if I had a lisp, but for the time being, um, it's something that I'm glad I overcame.
And that was going to be my question is what was that motivation that said, I have to figure this out and I've got to get this fixed? What was that
It's just that
motivation for you?
yeah, I think that it just is easier as an actor. It's like it's easier to be understood. It's something that shouldn't stand in people's way if they're going to be actors, but you know, it's just unfortunately like that's just I have to be able to speak as clearly as possible in the way that that other people talk and form words. So yeah, that was
Very
my
good.
motivation.
So I know, Eric, that as an actor, the acting community, there's probably a lot of socialization. Can you tell us a little bit about your circle of influence
Mhm.
of the folks
Um,
around you that help you?
yeah, I have like a close knit group of like maybe like seven really close friends. So yeah.
And I know when we talked about this concept of director feedback, do you have a story at all that you can share with us about a moment that might not have gone so well, or maybe a moment that had gone well that you
Um,
recall from your memory?
um, I had a moment with a director where I wasn't really understanding. He kept on telling. I was like watching. The scene was that I was just watching another scene. These two girls were talking, and then I was just sitting there for like a long time. And I didn't have any lines or anything because also in the way it was the way the world of the play is that I was like I was watching the scene as if one of the girls was like telling me the story of the scene. So I I I'm not technically there in the scene. So anyway, he kept on telling me to make my reaction like bigger and bigger. And eventually I was just like, okay, well, do you want me to ad lib then on top of the scene? And he was like, yes. Um, and then that's what I guess what he was looking for was like an ad lib. Um, and it's just funny. I just didn't. It's just like you never really know what they want because I would never have expected him to like ask me to add more words in the scene. But I was happy to do it. It was really fun. But it was sort of yeah.
So you also mentioned, Eric, that you are writing and that you write something. Are you writing anything right now?
Yeah, I'm finishing up a play right now called Nine Cavities, which is about uh these people that are fake that pretend to be dentists for money. Um and it's a play that's sort of about group think and it's like a big farce. So
Oh,
I'm excited about that. And so that should be done in a few weeks, the first draft.
fantastic. Fantastic. And before we let you go, I do have to ask you one question just because I have the insider's information on this. I wanted to share with our audience regarding Find the Light from your director from so many years ago. If you can bring us into that moment of how that came to be.
Well, it's just that I guess we were having a director. I had a director a long time ago. I was like in like sixth grade, and he was like keep on trying to find people to like find their light when we were teching the show, which is like you just have to find where you are so that the light, like a spotlight, can hit you. And eventually he just started like screaming at people to find their light. Uh, but I wasn't one of those people. So, because I could always find my light.
Okay, I love that. I have to share with you, I love that story because I definitely want to end the podcast today that may each of us recognize where our strength is and find our light in our life so that we can be resourceful. Do you have anything else to share with our audience today, Eric, before we let you go?
I don't think so.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast of Finding Strength with Anne.